So a carbide tooth has a good square edge, where a abrasive blade has kind of a rounded edge. And this is the part I'm really looking forward to, is being able to line that up and get a lot more accurate of a cut. Welcome back to Bowers Creations. New week and no project this week, actually. I'm going to do something this week I've always wanted to do or make a part of this channel, and that's going to be a tool review or a first impressions open box type deal. I've always planned to kind of do this with this channel. I just honestly haven't bought any significant tools since I've started the channel. And this week, we're actually going to take a look at the WEN 14-inch cold cut or carbide tip metal cutoff saw. All right, got you set up on a tripod here, and we're going to open this thing up. So I've been wanting one of these carbide saws for a while. I want the skill saw version, but I settled on the chop saw version for now. I got a project I build for a friend of mine. I build several a year. It requires a lot of square cuts. And even though I have an abrasive chop saw or cutoff saw, however you want to say it, I can't stand an abrasive saw. I've used way too many miter saws and radial arm saws in the finished carpentry and cabinet building industry that an abrasive saw is just not accurate enough for me. I cannot stand the accuracy of a abrasive saw. It takes way too much time to line up and get perfect, accurate cuts. So I'm hoping this carbide saw will solve some of those issues. There's a sharper or a defined edge on these saws, so maybe it'll be a lot easier to use, or I may have just wasted my money. We'll find out. So we got some instructions, and I guess that's the handle. Here's a little clamp mechanism, and of course a whole bunch of styrofoam. So this comes with an extra set of brushes. I've never changed a brush on a motor in my life, but I guess we got them. This thing is pretty deadgum heavy, or I'm just wore out. It's been a 60-hour work week, so we're gonna do this brutal way, yank it out of here. And if I sound funny this week, I've been a little under the weather. My allergies have been kicking my butt this week. But this is what we got. Pretty basic looking so far. Get this plastic off of here. All right. So we got a hold down chain somewhere. I don't know where it's at. Oh, this one doesn't have a hold down chain. It actually has a little knob over here. So what we're looking at here is the WEN model 1452. I'm already pretty stoked by this thing, opening it up, because it has a few features that other reviews said it didn't have. So this is either a newer model or they changed things a little bit, such as the quick release right here. Most models or most reviews on YouTube isn't showing this feature. They're saying it doesn't have it. So that really gets me excited right there. I was actually going to see if I could steal the bracket off my abrasive saw and make it work, but I don't have to. It's already there. Something else that is a really cool feature, so you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to just hold the camera. That's the best way to get this shot. But one more cool feature that I noticed, not only does it have a lot better gauge than advertised here, most of the saws just showed a few marks in the paint. This one actually has a degree dial or gauge. So let's hope that's pretty accurate. We'll know in the future. But what I'm looking at is it actually has a twist handle to loosen it up with. So you could take this, loosen it up, and then adjust your degrees how you want it. Most of these saws, you have to use a wrench to do that, or a socket wrench. So pretty excited about that as well. Another feature here's your lock to lock it down with. Instead of having to bolt it with the chain, you could actually turn this, put it in that position there, and then when you drop it down, it pops in, locks it in place. Now, one thing I am afraid of with this system is with the saw running and vibrating, I'm afraid that this might turn. We'll have to do a couple sample cuts to see if that does that. But if this rotates while it's cutting, oh wait, there's a detent right there. So it shouldn't be able to turn. So that alleviates that fear. That's good. Right here we have an Allen wrench. And from best I could tell, that Allen wrench fits your guard here. So you could take your guard off and change your blade. So some really cool features that, again, wasn't on the YouTube videos that I've seen so far. It also has a little protective window here, I guess you could view. I know these saws throw a lot of chips, so we're just going to have to try it out, see what it does. So a couple more features this saw has, I've noticed. It has an adjustable depth stop here, so that apparently you're able to adjust the depth that this stops at. We'll have to see how much flexibility is in there. Up here I noticed this is a one tool blade change system, so there's a little blade lock here. I guess you could rotate the blade, lock it in place, and then only need one tool to change it out instead of having to use two. One thing I did notice about the handle is there is a safety right here. Right-handed, this doesn't feel too bad, but if you were to reach up here left-handed, it's kind of a funky grip. I don't know how well I'll like that, but you know how it is nowadays. These manufacturers have to throw in all kinds of safeties and stops because if someone makes a mistake, being ignorant or stupid, they sue the manufacturer, which I don't think's right. Now, one more feature that this saw has is it has a little bracket for cutting round stock or pipe. And it could go in here two different ways. You could set it in there like that if you got a taller piece of pipe or a bigger piece of pipe, or you could flip it over, and this is for smaller pieces of pipe. So I found that pretty fascinating. Just a lot of options for a cheaper model saw. So let's get this thing plugged in. Let's make a few cuts and see what it does. Well, check this out. I was moving the saw over here onto my cart so we can make some sample cuts, and this little tray fell out the back end. It has a little tray back here to collect your chips. We'll have to see how well that works, or if chips just go flying everywhere. It has a little lock that engages. I guess it wasn't engaged when I went to move it. So I'm going to finish plugging this thing in now, and we'll make some cuts. Now, I know I keep saying we're going to make a few cuts, but there's one last thing I want to do before we do that, is let's see how square it is right out of the box. And as far as square, it looks pretty dead gum close. We'll obviously check it on some stock after we make some cuts. And then I want to see how plumb it is. See if it's pretty accurate out of the box as far as plumb or side to side. That's one thing I'm not seeing an adjustment for. So let's just hope it's pretty decent. So we're going to take the angle finder. We're going to zero it out. And then we'll set it here. And that is showing dead nut 90 degrees. So that's a good thing. If you happen to do a lot of saw work, especially table saws, miter saws, check out this Klein digital gauge. This should be another review, but we'll just throw it in on this video. This thing is awesome. I bought it to align the drive shaft angles and pinion angles on the Jeep, but it also comes in real handy on the table saw, the miter saw, radial arm saw, to see if your angle's right. So check one of these things out. They're only about 30 bucks. Very handy little tool. So earlier I was getting this thing plugged in, ready to cut, and I realized it's 5:45 in the morning. I didn't want to be that neighbor. I hear these things are pretty loud. So I went up to Walmart, got some oil for the truck. Need to do an oil change today. Went and had breakfast, like I really needed that too. But either way, it should be late enough in the morning now I could make some cuts without feeling guilty. I got some 3x3 square tubing. We're going to square it off real quick and then make a second cut on it and see how it does. Get it clamped down here real quick. Well, that's a pretty dead-gum clean edge. I'm not going to touch it with my bare hand, but it's supposed to be a cold cut. Let's get it off here and see how square it is. Back over on the work table now. And that's actually pretty dead-gum square. It's a clean cut. I think I'm going to enjoy this saw. Let's make another cut real quick. So here's the part I'm really looking forward to. So a carbide tooth has a good square edge, where a abrasive blade has kind of a rounded edge. And this is the part I'm really looking forward to, is being able to line that up and get a lot more accurate of a cut. So let's hack this again, see how it goes. So one thing I'm noticing, just like an abrasive saw, it doesn't like that flat cut. So here I got some 3-inch flat strap. It's about the same thickness. We'll cut it on edge, see how much better it cuts. Now we can compare that to it laying flat, and you can see how big of a difference it really is. So let me set this in here flat. Bring it down, line it up. See if it'll even clamp it flat. That's a good test right there, actually. So we'll clamp it flat. Let's see how it cuts it. So you can see it doesn't like that flat cut near as much. I'm being very gentle with it. You probably could force it through more, but you'll probably wear out your blade a lot faster. There's your quick demonstration of this WEN 14-inch carbide metal saw, or cold cut saw as they call them. Now one thing I was curious is this tray here. So it does have a little bit of metal shavings in it, not very much. There's actually probably just as much on the cart and the floor. There is metal shavings clear over here on the table saw, about 3 feet away. Not very much. It's very light. Probably about a 3-foot radius around the saw. Of course, it's a lot more concentrated on the cart. So, all in all, not too bad. I think you'd throw just as much debris with an abrasive saw. So, I'm digging it. I think I could like it. Now what probably everybody wants to know is, how much did I pay for it? Well, I paid $256 for this saw after taxes, shipped to my door within about 4 days from Walmart.com. That was the cheapest I found it. but I'm very afraid that this saw is being discontinued or on the way out the door. So what originally happened is I started looking at these saws. I have a $400 project that's going to pay for it for me, and the Evolution's what I wanted, but it's a $600 saw. Other name brands are about the same price, $500 to $600. I didn't want to pay that. I wanted to stay in the $400 range. WEN is the only semi-name brand that I found that was within that price range. However, I originally started watching it at Home Depot. They have two different models, one for $249 and one for $264. I wanted the one for $264. It had little legs on it, but other than that, I couldn't tell a difference. It had the same amperage motor, same RPMs, same size. So I don't know what the big difference was besides those little feet. I don't know what that would have benefited, but it was the one I was watching. I was waiting for the appropriate time to buy it, and it went out of stock. So I started watching the cheaper one. It went out of stock a few days later. They've been out of stock for about 2 weeks now. Lowe's also shows the one for $264, but it's out of stock also. So again, like I said, I'm afraid they're going out being discontinued. So make sure you swoop this up if you're interested in one, because if you don't now, you're going to end up paying $500 to $600 for a cold cut saw. I looked this morning. Amazon has this saw for like $337. WEN.com still has it for $354, and I seen one on eBay for about $325. Anyways, this has been my review on the WEN 14-inch cold cut saw. If you like this review, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We got more projects coming, more reviews coming, so stay tuned. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time.